AgWeek Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Are these cooler temps here to stay? Here's John with our AgriWeather outlook.
Well, fall weather has arrived into many areas of the northern United States, but barely. It has not become cold. We've had a few chilly intrusions, and that will continue over the next couple of weeks as we move on through the month of October. But I don't see any sustained chilly weather, colder than average weather, anything like that taking over the lower 48, at least over the next couple of weeks. So call it the pleasantly mild fall weather will continue. Of course, the downside of this weather pattern is that many areas are dry and getting drier. Northern Plains, southern Canada, Midwest, it's getting to be where we're talking about drought conditions in many areas. It's that time of the year where drought is less of a concern than it would be if this were springtime. But you don't usually get a lot of precipitation that adds to soil moisture during the overwinter. And so as we get into spring, if something doesn't change, we are likely going to be looking at many areas that will be relying on timely rains for spring planting. No sign of change to the overall pattern, at least as we go through the next 2 weeks. And as I see it, through Halloween and at least into the start of November, not saying there won't be some chilly days here and there, I just don't anticipate any sustained cold weather pattern. Now, as I mentioned, this weekend, we're getting one of those little intrusions of cool weather into North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and that'll kind of hang around the Great Lakes states for a while, penetrating to as far south as about Cairo, Illinois, with high temperatures perhaps only in the 50s for a day or two early this week. But as you can see, this is kind of a temporary aberration. This low is going to kind of get separated from the main flow, and we'll look for the jet stream to rebuild back across much of the central and western part of the North American continent, which will spread weather into the 70s and 80s, even as far north as Montana and Saskatchewan by the middle of the week. It'll stay fairly cool, northern plains, but in particular in the Great Lakes area. And this remnant low will kind of continue to bring cool weather to the southeastern states for a while. Eventually, we'll see that retreating. Cold weather covering Alaska, the northwest part of Canada. We are going to get weather cold enough to bring some snow down into the northern Rockies, but this is not a sustainable cool weather pattern. In fact, by the weekend, looking for a fair amount of weather in the 80s and even 90s to get up into the southern plains. That won't last that long, but the warmer than average weather pattern is likely to continue, not only through the first week, but in through the second week of the pattern as the jet stream flow goes generally west to east. And as far as precipitation goes, there just isn't going to be much change there. Mostly dry throughout the middle section of the country. Northwest and southeast get all the precipitation, and that won't change much, it looks like, probably for the rest of the month.